used with tips or forms. A series of gel layers are applied and each layer needs to be cured under a UV light or an LED light, encouraging the nail plate and gel to bond together as one. No-light gel is derived from similar raw materials. No-light gel is actually a thicker glue made of cyanocrylate. No-light gels can be applied over silk or fiberglass in conjunction with acrylic powder. Gels are available in colors that don't need polish. You can get pretty much every color, just like acrylic powder. You can get any color in gel as well. Light cured gel on natural nails or tips. So when you're doing a light cured gel, which we are, you guys have your gel and your lights at home, you need the same materials as you used with your acrylic nails. So all your abrasives, your files, your buffers, your tips. If you're gluing the tip onto the nail, you need your glue. Orange wood sticks, sanitizers, nail prep, dehydrators, and obviously an area to work on. Make sure you have a towel, lots of paper towel, ideally a tray to work on, so if you spill any of your chemicals, it's not going to wreck the table that you're working on. So gel application pre-service, exactly like acrylics, we want to make sure our pre-service is complete. So before we even start touching the client, we greet them, we shake their hand, we introduce ourselves. We either get them to fill out a client consultation form if they're new. If they're an existing client, then we have to review all of their information. And then we start the service. Remove any old polish, apply nail antiseptic, or just get the client to wash their hands. That's the best, in hot soapy water. So always make sure you have a sink available. And you need to wash your hands before the service as well. Push back the cuticles gently. Buff the nail to remove shine gently. Apply tips if desired. Shorten them to the desired length. Blend the tips. Then apply the first layer of gel or base gel. Cure. Then you're going to apply, it's just like acrylic. It's ideal to do it in 3 balls when you're first learning, just to make sure that you have that nice natural curvature in the nail. So you're going to start with the free edge, cure that ball, then the body, the apex, the highest point of the nail, and then the cuticle. So every application, every layer you put on has to be cured. Once everything's cured, just like acrylic, you rebalance. So file with a medium grit file or a rough grit. If you are using a rough grit, it is faster, but it's going to leave etch marks in the nail. So if you use a rough grit, make sure you use a buffer and buff really good just to smooth out any of those marks. Because when you put your top coat, if you're using just a clear top coat, you might see the etch lines in the nail. So that's why I like to use a medium or even a soft grit, depending on how much you have to file. Same with your drill bits. Once you've rebalanced and the nail's perfect, you're going to apply your top coat. When I'm practicing, I like to just use a regular top coat, an air dry top coat. Don't waste your gel top coat on practice nails. Unless they're going to be nails that you're going to display for your clients to see if you're showing off different nail designs or shapes or colors. But don't waste your gel top coat. You're going to go through a lot of that from just doing gel polish on clients, not even doing enhancements. Okay, so while we're practicing, just a regular air dry top coat. And then that's it. Your gel nails should look really natural. They should look exactly like an acrylic nail, completely natural. The only thing with acrylics is they're better for building claws. If you want really long claws, it's harder to do that with gel. Gel is meant for more of a natural, shorter looking nail. It's easier really to do gel on tips and acrylic on forms, but I'm going to show you gel on both tips and forms today. On a form, you can imagine with the gel, it's self-leveling. So if you don't cure it in time, it's just going to self-level right into the sidewalls and cuticle. And once it cures on the skin, it can actually burn the skin. And obviously the nail is going to lift because all the oils from the cuticle are going to get underneath and lift around the sidewalls and cuticle. So when you're working with gel, you have to be quite quick. At the end, get the client to wash their hands, and then you can apply cuticle oil. Okay? Gel application post-service, we already went through that. Always make sure that you're rebooking your client. Are they coming back for a fill in 2 to 3 weeks? Are they coming back for a backfill in 4 to 6 weeks? Do they need any nail art removed? Maybe you did some Valentine's Day art and we're going into March now and they want it taken off. Make sure that you make that appointment before they leave and tell them they can always cancel it, but it's better to have that appointment because you book up quickly, okay? Always suggest retail products. The number one product to sell to your clients that have artificial nails and are always constantly coming in for fills and backfills is cuticle oil, hand cream. Discard any used materials, sanitize the table and implements, throw out all your trash, and continue as normal. Just make sure you use a fresh towel for every client, okay? And an extremely clean workspace. Light cured gel over forms, it's the exact same procedure. I'll show you during my demo. The pre-service, post-service is the same. The actual service is the same, except you're using a form instead of a tip, okay? Now, no light gels. No light gel is a thicker velocity cyanocrylate monomer, also known as superglue. This gel-like material can be applied like nail polish, including the tip of the free edge. To harden the gel, spray with activator. Once the two chemistries unite, the gel hardens. No light source is needed for curing. Obviously, this isn't the most popular choice for gel. There's some great gels out there, and most of them are all light curing. There's lots of UV light curing as well, but now we've obviously moved into LED. LED gels are the most popular and current in the industry. Again, same supplies, except you have to use activator for this one. The application process, pre-service, post-service is exactly the same. Moving on. So one thing you need to know about no light gels is that you can use it with fiberglass and silk wraps. So we did fiberglass last week. So you can actually, gel now is quite strong. We don't need to do this, but traditionally this is what you could do if you wanted to make a gel nail stronger. You could apply your first layer of gel, cure it, apply your second layer of gel, apply the fiberglass, cure it, and then apply 1 to 2 more layers on top. So you'd have that inner layer of fiberglass that would make the nail extremely hard. Most chemistries now are really durable, so it's again not something that you'll see very often in the industry. Gel maintenance and removal. Both light cured and no light cured gels should be maintained every 2 to 3 weeks. You know that every 2 to 3 weeks you need to go in for a fill, or your client does, depending on how fast the client's nails grow. Use a medium nail file, filing entire nail surface until shine is gone. Then continue filing the regrowth area, the free edge, the sidewalls, the cuticle, before you fill in the regrowth. Again, once you've filed, use your block buffer, file down the nail really smooth. But be careful not to overfile, and don't file into the natural nail. When you cause damage to the natural nail, that's going to make your client more susceptible to developing a contact dermatitis. And you definitely don't want your client developing a contact dermatitis to any chemicals that you're using, especially non-acetone, alcohol, surface cleaner, primers, because that's less business for you because they're going to have to take their nails off. Gel removal, UV gel removal is different than acrylic. With acrylic, we can soak the nails, buff the layers off or push the layers off, and it comes off with acetone. With UV gel removal, you cannot use acetone to soak them off. You literally have to file layer by layer by layer. So we like to use our drills when we're removing the nail. The roughest grit bit is the best option, and you literally file them down in layers. You have to be careful not to overfile or over drill. You can cause a ring of fire on your client's natural nail plate, and it takes weeks to heal, and it's super painful. So just be very careful. Usually I'll use my drill just over halfway And when I get down over halfway, I'll stop and I'll use my rough grip file to do the rest, just to be safe. Okay. And again, clean hands, wash hands, and always condition the cuticles with cuticle oil. Okay, so nice and short. That's it for that chapter. You guys have your worksheet, your questions to complete. And from last week, you have questions. You're going to work on your gel questions. You're going to do your gel quiz. And that's it. Perfect. And everyone's done their wrap quiz and questions. I think it was only like 3 questions. So super easy right now. And all you have to do at home is practice your gel on tips and gel on forms. So I want everyone now to start prepping. Get your light, get your gel. I'm just going to be using my Cover Pink gel. It's like a darker pink, so you can actually see the nail and the structure and shape. You can use white. Maybe don't use clear right now because you actually want to see the structure and the layers that you're curing. So yeah, an opaque pink, a light pink, or a white is perfect. Get your tips, get your forms, all your abrasives, and I'll meet you back here in 5 minutes. Okay. Is that one good? Get your mask. Duster brush, non-acetone. This is a surface cleanser. It's basically just made out of made from alcohol. You can use 70% or 99% just to clean the surface of the nail. Non-acetone does the same thing. Some non-acetones you can see have pigment, color dye, which could stain the nail. So if you can, more of an alcohol-based cleanser is better. For practice, though, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to use a regular air drying top coat. I've got my nail wipes. Again, I don't like to waste my nail wipes on just practicing, but always make sure you have your nail wipes available for when you're working on your clients to clean your brush. And your gel brush. Your gel brush is different than your acrylic brush. It's the small square brush. These bristles are synthetic. They're not natural hair bristles. You can get natural hair bristles. Actually, you know what? This one is synthetic and this one is real hair. It doesn't matter with gel. Whereas with acrylic brushes, they have to be natural hair. They have to be sable hair. Otherwise, they won't survive the monomer liquid. Okay. So I need to set up my light. So I have my little finger here. If you don't have a little finger that you can stick your tip into, that's fine. While you're buffing and putting all your layers on, what I'll do is I'll just put my nail onto a buffer and it'll go right into the light like that, and then continue working on it. Or you can use a little buffer and put it in if you don't have a little finger. This finger is quite high, so if you do have a finger and you're putting it in, make sure you don't hit the top. Okay? I might actually just use my buffer. I don't know yet. We'll see. Okay, well, let's get started. I'm going to start by buffing my nail. I'm going to remove all the shine. If you don't remove the shine, even on your practice nails, sometimes the gel layer will just come completely off your tip. We'll start with the tip, and then we will do the form. My form is somewhere. I'll get it after. Okay. So, what brush do I want to use? Clean your brush. All you need to do, always have some clean paper towel. All you need to do is get a little non-acetone or a little alcohol. You can't do this with your acrylic brushes. And wipe. Now make sure that all the moisture comes out of your brush, because again, whatever color you're using for sanitizer and cleansers is going to tint your gel. Okay? And it's always good to have a little bit of sticky in your bristles. It's better actually if you have a little bit of gel in your bristles to kind of form all the bristles together nice and tight. Now this looks like a new pot, so I might need to give it a stir. If you have a new pot of gel, usually the pigment will fall to the bottom. So just get a clean orangewood stick and give it a quick mix carefully, not to create too many air bubbles. The one thing that you have to be careful of with gel is getting too many air bubbles in the surface. For one, they don't look good, and they're really hard to get rid of once they're in there. You actually have to use a little needle, and you have to actually pierce them and poke them. And that can ruin the consistency of your surface. So when you're stirring, stir very gentle. Actually, this looks pretty good. It just hasn't been used. Okay, we're good. Now, if you've already learned acrylic and you've mastered acrylic, you're not going to like gel. Or that's what I find anyway with most people. You're going to think it's sticky and tacky and it gets over everything, but we will learn to love it. Just persevere and keep practicing. I promise you'll love it. It's funny though, because usually when you start with gel and then you learn acrylic, it's the same thing. You don't like acrylic as much, so it's just what you're used to, I guess. Okay, while I'm buffing my surface, I'm not going to get it in my product, so put your lid on and put your mask on and buff the shine off. Get the dust off. And we're going to put our first layer on. Now, when you're first learning, it's nice to put a first base layer on of my builder gel. Some gels will have an actual base coat, others don't. I don't want to start building with my builder gel right away though, because when I'm learning, because it's going to be very self-leveling quite quickly, and I don't want it to bleed and fall and make a mess. So if you put your first layer down, just a really thin first layer, when you put that second, third, and fourth layer on top, the larger layers, it's going to stop at that edge point. So it helps it not bleed, basically. So we're just going to make sure we get no air bubbles in our pickup. Now, when you pick this up, I don't want you to twirl and twirl and twirl and wisp all your little wispies around. I want you to pick it up and just go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until all the wispies are on your brush. Then, just like gel polish, we're going to apply it exactly where we want the rest of our gel to fall. Don't lift up and down too much. You literally just bring it over and down. Bring it over and down. Over, over, and then when you get towards the end, just brush it flat. So this is just the first layer. We're not building. We're creating perimeters. Okay, we don't want it too thick. We want our sidewalls perfectly covered. We want a nice solid cuticle line. And that's it. In your light. Your thin layers only need 30 seconds curing in your LED. If it's a base coat, only 5 seconds. And I like to always do 60 seconds at the very last layer. And if I'm using a gel top coat, 60 seconds. But the in-between layers, you only need 30 seconds. Always put the lid on your gel while you're waiting, just in case. Take it out. Now, if you feel this layer, it's going to be tacky. That's normal. We're going to put another layer on at the very end before our top coat. If we're using a gel top coat, you need to wipe that tacky layer off and buff. Okay, but I'll show you that at the end. So now I want you to do just the free edge. Now, yes, when you get really good at building your apex and building the highest point of the nail, you can do all of this in one ball. But if you try to do that now, it's just going to be one flat nail with no height. So I've got my free edge. Place it down, cure. "30 seconds. Okay, so you can see what that looks like so far. Second layer. Drop your ball. Let it kind of fall. This is all self-leveling. Just guide it. No crazy stroking moves necessary. Sidewall to sidewall. And just brush the little bit on the edge over the free edge. Good. If you see a few little ripples in your gel, just let it self-level for a minute before you cure it. It'll self-level on its own. You don't have to do any crazy maneuvers. You can see it's self-leveling, it looks good. Let's not wait too long and let's get it in. 30 seconds. Now, of course, if you're dealing with different colored gels, you're gonna have to clean your brush in between. You don't have to necessarily clean with non-acetone or alcohol. You can just get the majority out of the bristles. So even when the brush looks like this, probably would want to clean this with my lint-free wipe. Even though the brush is still tacky, there's no pigment in the bristles, and I can go in and use another color if I wanted to. Okay, that is the apex I just did. Now I'm going to do the cuticle line. And if you do pick too much gel up and you find there's too much on the nail, you can just pull it off and put it back in your pot. Probably gonna need a bit more. Okay, now my cuticle line. Sidewall to sidewall, don't lose contact with the product. The more up and down movement you have, the more air bubbles you're going to get. Sidewall to sidewall. We've got that area covered. Now, you can pretty much, again, brush over lightly over the free edge. Check your sidewalls. If you don't have enough product on the sidewall, grab a little bit on your brush and just brush it from the free edge up. You want to make sure you have enough. That side's good. If you find you want to build up your stress point more, or anywhere in the nail, you can just get some strings. And string it over. Okay, it's self-leveling. I can see it falling, so I'm just going to quickly correct that. A little thick down here. I think we're good. Okay. Still see a little weird little dent. There we go. And we're in. So that was my last layer of builder gel. So I'm going to clean my brush and I'm ready to rebalance. And that's good. And I like to store with my gel brush, I like to store it with the gel in the bristles. It'll never cure. Don't leave it out in direct sunlight or out where there's lots of light. Keep it in a dark, dry place. But it keeps your bristles nice and tight and uniform. Okay? I'm just going to go one more time, just 30 more seconds just to make sure. My second layer was a little thicker. Done with that. Get my medium grit. Got the buffer. Got my top coat. I'm going to remove the tacky surface. You'll see there's a tackiness to that. That doesn't mean it's not cured. It's definitely cured. Just means you need to remove it with non-acetone or an alcohol surface cleanser. Okay, we're good. So we can rebalance it. Sidewalls, make sure they're nice and tight. Free edge. Make sure that that free edge, the corners of the free edge aren't too sharp. And the surface. Being really careful when you're working on your human that you aren't going to injure them with your sharp file. If I'm working on somebody, I like to hold my file like this. When I'm on the right side, I hold my file at the bottom, and I'll go in one direction to avoid hurting them. When you're practicing on your nail, you can go back and forth as hard as you want. When I'm working on the left side, I hold to the top of the file and I work down. Making sure there's no shiny little divots. If there's shiny little divots, that means my surface is uneven, and that's unacceptable. You have to keep filing until there's no divots. Taper my sidewalls. Look at my apex. It's not smooth. Smooth it out. That's good. Thin out my free edge. Okay. Buffer. And always make sure when you guys are practicing, especially at home, I mean, there's lots of nail dust. Make sure you're wearing clothes that you can take off and wash right away. Don't reuse them, or don't wear them around your cat or your kids or your husband. Take them off right away. Try to wear an apron. Wash that too. You don't want to have nail dust all through your house or kitchen or where you're eating. Okay, when you're happy with your buffing and it looks smooth, you can see. Duster brush really good, get all the dust off. I don't want dust in my top coat. Okay, good. Put my top coat on. Okay, so this is what I want you guys practicing, making nice, natural looking gel nails. The nice C curve. I don't want them completely flat. Make a nice C curve. Make sure you have a nice definite border around the cuticle. Again, you don't have to put product on the entire nail all the way up to here. Bring it down a little bit. Make sure your side walls are nice and tight, and your free edge is nice and thin, but not too thin. And again, try not to waste your gel top coat. Just try to use your regular top coat that you have in your kits to give your nail shine. Okay? So I want you to try to complete 10 of these. Now I'm going to show you how to do it on forms. I just have to run and get my form. I'll be 1 second. If you guys want to follow along with me, you can go get your forms as well. Let's see if we have any questions before we move on. Okay, Amir's on that. Perfect. Thanks, Amir. Okay, I will be right back with my form. Always put your lids on tight before you leave. And can you see that here? Form. Okay, guys. So I have my form. I'm going to stick it to a bottle, a nail polish bottle, dehydrator, doesn't matter. And I'm going to put it on just like that. So I'm pretending that's a finger. Normally, what I would be doing is placing this on the free edge of my client like that, and then pinching it, creating the extension, and then obviously the body. But for practice purpose, we are doing it on a bottle. Wrap it around, pinch the bottom. If you're finding that your form isn't staying, it's not sticking, these ones are pretty sticky, but I find some aren't, then just get some Scotch tape and take a little bit, and then you can just literally just pinch it at the base like that. Okay, so I'm going to bend the bottom a little bit because when I go into my light, I want it to be level, but I'll have to hold that anyway. Okay, so same thing. I'm going to create my base layer and then my 3 body layers. Okay, that, and this on. So let's pretend that the actual nail plate is there. And I'm going to brush this down to where I want it. Remember, this is just a really thin coat. You're just figuring out where your perimeters are and where you want your builder gel to stop. Okay, that's on. In. Exactly like the tip. We are going to do our free edge first. Okay. "30 seconds per layer." Now the apex or the main body, so we can get a bigger ball. Because remember, we need to use more product when we use forms than tips, because the tip always stays on the nail for reinforcement, but the form comes off. So the actual product you apply onto your client needs to be thicker. Moving it around just a little, not too much stroking, just guiding it down. Making sure your sidewalls are solid. Good. And last, we'll do the cuticle line, rebalance, top coat, finished. So you guys can tell me tomorrow during the Zoom how you liked the gel today, if you practice. Okay. Now the cuticle line, so obviously we're going to do that with a smaller bead or ball, I should say. Okay. let your ball drop and push it into your areas. Guide it down. Guide it down. All the way off your free edge. Let it self-level. If you need to add a little string, you can see here, you can just put it across if I need more bulk here. Perfect. If you need to clean up, you've got this last layer to perfect your lines. But be careful because, again, it's self-leveling. So let's get this in here. 30 seconds. I'll probably do another 30 seconds, so 60 seconds, and then we'll rebalance. Try not to get gel on your abrasives. It's very annoying. One more time. And it doesn't matter if you're just practicing at home or practicing on a friend. Try to keep your station neat and organized. If your abrasives are over here, keep them over here. If your cleansers are over here, keep them over here. If your wipes are here, don't make it, it can get really messy real quick. And then everything just gets contaminated and sticky. So just make sure you're always organizing and cleaning as you go. Okay. So we know that there's a tacky layer. We have to remove that. I'll get a new wipe. And again, if you're practicing, you don't have to use a wipe. Save your wipes for your clients. But I'll use a wipe today. Okay. Now we want to, I'm going to try to file a bit while this is on the form. It's a lot more awkward to file and buff this when it's on the form because when it comes off the form, it's hard to hold on to. It's easier if you have a tip to hold on to. So let's just file the surface now while we have it on here, and it might come off. You've got your lid on, everything's good. You're not going to get dust in anything. You can go. I know some of you are wondering in your minds right now, can I use my drill to do this? Not a good idea. If you're practicing on a human hand or you're practicing on your fake hand and the nail has completely adhered, then yes. But not when you just have individual nails like this. Your nail will fly across the room if you use your drill on this. Same like that. So only if you're actually adhering it to a hand. File it down. That stayed on really good. Perfect. I'm going to buff as well. Take that nail off. Maybe I'll put it here. Okay, so I do have to file the free edge. So I am going to take this off now, but at least I got the main parts. Okay, so normally you would pinch off the tip and then you would pull it off, but this has already come off. Lucky for us. And I will file my sidewalls and my free edge. Bevel, always bevel. Okay, duster brush, really good. And top coat. And again, I'm just going to use my air dry top coat. This one's specific for artificial nails, but any regular air dry top coat is fine for practice. Okay, and that one's done too. So I'll put them together so you can see they look the same. I probably could have given, I'll show you this angle, my form more body. You can see it looks a lot flatter than the other one. It's not completely flat, but if I'm doing a longer nail, then I would want more product in the apex. The shorter nails don't have to be as high in the apex, but basically the longer you go, the more stability, the more strength basically you need to have, okay? So this is what you guys need to do in the next week. I want you to do at least 10 on forms and 10 on tips, okay? Good. Okay guys, let's open it up for questions. Let me know if you have any questions about any of these techniques, and anything we miss, we will follow up tomorrow during our Zoom. Wait another minute for your questions. No? Okay, guys. Well, that was fun. That's it for today. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and like the video. And I will talk to you all tomorrow during the Zoom, same time, and we can troubleshoot then. Okay? Have a good day. Bye.